Good.
Wednesday was a significant day for the National Football League because it was the day that the owners voted on rule changes for 2021. Many failed, but some passed. And the one that passed is the half measure that I hate, Chris, the expanded duties of the replay assistant. Now, on top of everything else the replay assistant already does, the replay assistant will have some involvement in fixing objective rulings that are clearly and obviously wrong by communicating directly with the on-field staff. The league office, through Al Riveron, already has some responsibility when it comes to administration of rules, and that's part of what this expansion is for the replay assistant. There was some confusion earlier this week about where the lines were between the replay assistant's expanded duties and what Al Riveron already does. I just don't like it because they need to go the rest of the way. I've said this time and again. Let me just say it one more time. Not that I won't say it again after that. There is a gap between what the 7 people on the field see and what the millions who are watching at home or wherever else they get their NFL content see. They need an official, a member of the crew who sees what we see and communicates with the officials. And as the Ravens said when they proposed it this year, one of these days we're going to have it. Why not have it now?
Right. I mean, like, I'm with you all the way. Let me get this straight. Like, are they talking like they're going to put more on Al Riveron's plate here with this? No. The replay assistant who's there at the stadium, who's responsible for activating replay review. I just wanted to make sure.
Situations where it's automatic. It's the person who's already there, who's like the liaison between Al Riveron and the referee. That person now has extra duties. And I had someone who understands the functions of the officiating department very well tell me a few weeks ago, the replay assistant's already busy enough. And this isn't going to work because of that. And they need to go the rest of the way. But for whatever reason, the NFL's officiating department isn't on board with having that booth umpire, that sky judge, that extra person. I still don't understand why.
I don't get that either.
This is going to save you from the next Rams-Saints debacle. Why wouldn't you want to do whatever you have to do to save yourself from another nightmare scenario? And I think they just assume, Shereen Williams and I were talking about this last night on PFTPM, I think the powers that be just assume lightning's not going to strike again in their lifetimes, or at least during the times they're in the position to have to worry about it. We'll let the next crop or the next one after that or the next one after that deal with the next time something like that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. It does seem to be an odd approach. I don't know why you'd want to throw, more work on somebody that's, pretty busy already. Why wouldn't you want an extra pair of eyes to be there to look over everything, who can kind of just, like you said, help everybody out? I really don't. I don't get that. I would think it would make the game smoother just to have one more guy communicate whatever it is. But what is holding them back from just doing that? I don't understand it, Mike. You've been banging the drum for this ever since the Saints-Rams game, and I didn't love it at first, but the more we've talked about it and discussed it, I think you're totally right. I do. And there's always things that need to be cleaned up during football games and whatever else. And that's where I would go. I guess, what are the expanded duties? That's where I'm like, what's the big change about this here? What exactly do they mean by all this? What's the nut and bolts of all this? I guess I'm a little confused by exactly what we're saying here with the rule change.
The language is that the replay official will advise the on-field officials with specific objective aspects of a play when clear and obvious video evidence is present. And that means, did the receiver get 2 feet down?
Yeah.
Was the ball out? Was the receiver inbounds or out of bounds? Specific objective. There won't be the ability, technically, there won't be the ability for the replay assistant to say, it looks like there was pass interference on that play. Looks like Nickel Roby-Coleman blew up Tommy Lee Lewis. You better throw a flag.
Right.
Technically, they won't have the ability to do that. Now, anyone who's watched this show for more than a little while, and if you have, we appreciate it. I'm a firm believer
that's going to happen.
When to break the rules.
Yeah.
No, but do it. And look, Al Riveron could have done it in that Rams-Saints game. Could have done it. And I'm told, per sources with knowledge of the situation, he specifically decided not to do it because it would have been against the rules.
Right.
But sometimes you got to have the foresight. Sometimes you got to have the understanding, the creativity of imagination to say, you know what? This is going to be a gigantic mess for a lot of people for a long time. I'm going to get on the horn, and I'm going to tell the referee, drop a flag. What do you mean drop a flag? Just trust me. Drop a flag. You'll thank me later. Drop a flag. Drop a flag. We never had this conversation.
Yeah.
Drop a flag.
Right. Yeah, I mean, well, like, in all seriousness, and how many times have we talked about this on Sundays or even a Monday show? I mean, come on. It's been going on ever since that happened. You know, the old... Hey,
and before.
Right. Oh, huddle
before.
up as the huddle up the officials, and they sit there and they look at the big screen, and then one of them has something in their ear, and it's DJ, play that other song again. Right? Yeah, no, not exactly. They're listening to Al Riveron. I mean, come on. So I guess it's a good thing from this standpoint, just at a base level. It's going to save some teams probably some challenges. Right, and things like that during the game, and maybe just speed up the process of the game a little bit to the point where we don't have those stoppages where it's like, what, the receiver got to feed in, and how did the official miss that? And then if that's when this replay official comes in and goes, hey, wait, he got him in, change the call in the field, completion. I'm all for that. I really am, because it would be a pain in the butt, one, to go to, now we got to throw the flag, stop the game, go to commercial break, and do all of that. And then, of course, you only have so many challenges in your pocket as it is as a coach anyway. So I guess it saves that department, and I like that.
But go the rest of the way.
Yeah,
no half
I'm with
measures.
you there.
One of the great monologues from Mike Ehrmantraut's character, the character was Mike Ehrmantraut. Jonathan Banks is the actor who portrayed him in Breaking Bad. The explanation of why you don't engage in half measures. You go the full way. And, Chris, you may not remember this. The week of the Super Bowl following that Rams-Saints debacle, heading into Super Bowl 53, we had... Was it 53? It was 53.
Yeah, I think
we
so.
We had Rich McKay, the chair of the competition committee, with us on site because the game was being played in Atlanta, and they do that victory lap. We got the Super Bowl. We got a new stadium. And it was obvious to me he had no interest in doing anything about the rules in the aftermath of that game. His attitude was, stuff happens.
Yeah, right.
Or a word with one fewer letter happens. And we'll just deal with it when it does. But this is a once-in-a-100-year event, and we can deal with it. And then when they had the rule change forced down their throats like they did, because the competition committee went to the league meetings that year with no proposal to do anything meaningful to fix what happened in the Rams-Saints game, the owners and the coaches and the executives decided we're going to have replay review for pass interference calls and non-calls.
Yeah.
Then it ends up being a disaster to the point where now you are reluctant to do anything significant because you're a little bit gun-shy from what happened with the last one because of all the unintended consequences. And that whole unintended consequences crap, that's just an excuse for having failure of imagination. How hard is it to get into a room and brainstorm all the stuff that could go wrong if we do this? And if you don't have people in the room smart enough to identify all the stuff that could go wrong when you change a rule, people who supposedly know the game inside and out, you need smarter people in the room because it ain't all that hard to make unintended consequences, expected consequences, so you don't do the thing that you're going to do. And how hard would it have been, Chris, for someone to realize, there's a chance, given the issues we've had with replay review in the past, all due respect, and what's a catch, what's not a catch, and the standards all over the place.
Yeah, right.
There's a chance we do this. The guy who's responsible, all due respect, is going to be all over the place with that, too. So either we don't do it or we dig deep. We maybe give that guy that left for Fox a phone call and get him to come back and be the one to do it. It isn't all that hard.
No.
It isn't all that hard to figure out what you need to do. And Chris, that's I made that gesture earlier.
Yeah.
It's money. They don't want to pay. You don't have to pay the replay assistant anymore to say, hey, you know what? You're going to have more duties.
Right.
How many people walk into work on a given day and find out they got more duties and ain't getting paid any more money for it?
Yeah.
You have 17 sky judges.
Yeah.
You're going to have to pay the money.
17 salaries. I know.
And they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
17 more members of the union.
I think
17 more of this.
It's shocking.
17 more plane tickets.
Yeah, I know, which is like, I mean, I understand it's expensive, but it's not. I mean, come on, it's a drop in the bucket. It's nothing. It's like it's nothing as compared to what the league is making and keeping the integrity of the game, where it should be, all of that. Mike, I mean, I think it's only a matter of time before the sky judge happens. Maybe this is just like the first step to make that happen. And the point you always bring up that at least rings true to me, this is the legalized gambling. I mean, again, that's real. You're right. It's another aspect that I think it'll make gamblers feel better if there's that guy there. This will make them feel better too. My big thing with this just a little bit is like the guy's got a lot on his plate, all of that stuff, like you've already said, but also within the clear and obvious, I don't know. To me, it's been pretty proven that we don't know what clear and obvious is all the time either. So I guess that's my other issue with this, and I want to see the mechanics of this, exactly how it works. I don't think it's a huge change, but it's a good one at least, and maybe a start down the right road for your sky judge.
You've got 17 replay assistants who very well may be inclined to punt to Al Riveron and let him decide via replay review that there was clear and obvious. And that's where things are going to get a little bit screwy, because the replay review, when it happens, that would happen after the replay assistant chimes in. So let me just give you an example. And I'm trying to articulate this on the fly. Right. It may work. It may not. At least I admit it in advance. But let's say there's a close call on a catch, okay? And on the field, no catch.
Right.
Replay assistant gets involved. Replay assistant decides catch. Well, when Al Riveron activates the replay review, whether there's a red flag thrown by a coach or it's in the window where there's an automatic replay review, where you start has a huge influence on where you finish, because are you overturning the ruling that it wasn't a catch and you need clear and obvious evidence to overturn that? Or are you overturning the ruling that it was a catch and you need clear and obvious evidence to overturn that? And how many times, Chris, do we see a call where whatever the ruling on the field was, there isn't going to be clear and obvious evidence to overturn it? Either way, you can't overturn it because it's not clear and obvious that that call was wrong. So that adds another dynamic to it. Yeah. Will the replay assistant interject and flip the standard? That's what happens, because the replay assistant in those cases is going to have the power to set the framework for the replay review and make it harder to overturn the ruling on the field. Yeah, so that's a dynamic as well. And let's hope they had people in the room who had the ability to have the conversation we're having right now about that, because that's going to be a very real dynamic.
I mean, do you think this is going to slow the game down? Like, I mean, are we going to have moments here of like, this replay official, okay, I mean, yeah, he thinks it's clear and obvious, but he's going to sit there and watch replays for a few seconds, and we're going to have the referees huddle like we see them do, like we were joking about before, and they're going to wait and give him a little time now? I mean, is that what they're doing there? I mean, again, to me, it's the worst thing about replays. Of course, it slows the game down, and that was what was so bad a few years ago with the pass interference and everything like that. Games were lasting forever, and it's not a smooth, fun watch that way. So I always worry about the clunkiness of how this is operated, on an NFL Sunday.
I think that the ball gets set for play, the 40-second clock rolls,
and he can do it then.
There's a window of opportunity to communicate with the referee, and they can try to fix it. And if there is something that needs to be fixed, then that's when the game gets slowed down. Now, I think one problem there, one potential complication would be the replay assistant buzzes the referee and tries to tell the referee that maybe there was a mistake, and the referee doesn't agree. And the referee says, you're just the replay assistant, keep your mouth shut.
Right.
And I think that's part of the dynamic as well. How receptive will the on-field officials be to the replay assistant sort of looking over their shoulders? That's why I've said, one of the reasons why I've said it needs to be a full member of the crew. So it's not like we've got the officials here and then the replay
Johnny's overlooking. Yeah,
and
he's always overlooking us. And
now all of a sudden the replay assistant's got power over us. That human factors come into play here. And again, when they talk this through, when they devise this, when they discuss it, Are they looking at it that way, or are they just stubborn and short-sighted and narrow-minded and not thinking it through the way that it should be thought through? I don't know, but based on some of the rule changes we've seen in the past, you could argue that they're short-sighted, narrow-minded, not thinking it all through.
No, I mean, yes, it seems like some of this stuff is kind of done on the fly at times, or, we just, there isn't enough discussion between really smart minds in the NFL and everything like that, and taking into account all people to get involved in these kind of conversations. I think when you talk about this stuff, the whole league, coaches, GMs, everything, you need all those think tanks there to kind of go through this to flush it out. So I don't know. We'll see how this goes. It was my least favorite of the rule changes that we had yesterday.
Well, and I think it's the most significant one because it didn't go far enough. And this is a prime example. Every once in a while, I'll get this pushback from folks. Why do you hate the NFL? Why do you criticize the NFL? The league office and the people who are involved on these committees, whichever team they come from, competition committee, this committee, that committee, they're stewards of the game. They are custodians of the power for now, and it's temporary. It's going to be somebody else in the future. And I think it's important for the people who truly give a crap about the game, not just now, but in the future.
Yeah.
And folks like us who've been following it for years and intend to continue to do so, and we want what's best for it, I think it's important for people to ask tough questions and offer criticism when necessary when the stewards of the game are screwing the game up. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, the people who are the current stewards of the game, we don't want to be criticized. We don't want to be questioned. You're making our lives more difficult. Tough crap. Get it right then. Simple solution. You don't get criticized if you don't screw up.
Yeah, well, I mean, you said a lot of right things there. We're not doing it because we hate the league. That's for sure. It's exactly.
We want
it's actually the exact opposite. We love the game, and we always want it to be better. It's the exact opposite of that. And yeah, we don't just not going to just let them force feed us new rules, whatever, and just go, oh, okay, great, that was so smart, that's so amazing. No. So, all right, we'll see where this goes. Sky Judge coming off-season 2022.
It's coming. At some point, it's coming. And one last point. It would be great for my digital business. It would be great for this show. It would be great for anyone who covers the league if, for example, there's a huge scandal where a grand jury is convened to find out whether or not someone was on the take when this horrible call happened that there was no mechanism in place to fix, or Congress decides they're going to create a federal agency that has oversight of the NFL. That would be a great, compelling story. I don't want that story. It's not good for the game to have those things happen. What's good for the game is to get the calls right. So, NFL, you get $1 billion over the next 5 years with your new tri-exclusive partnership, which makes no sense. It's exclusive if it's one. They've got 3, DraftKings, Caesars, FanDuel. $1 billion for nothing just to make them the official sports books of the NFL. Spend that money to get the calls right. There's your money.
Yeah.
And you don't have to spend the full $1 billion.
Yeah.
But that's where it is. Chris, they're making money for nothing with these deals. And gambling is going to cause cash to fall from the sky. Use that money to get the calls right, or it's going to cost you a hell of a lot more in the long run. That is the primary message.
No, you're right.
I think they all need to take heed of.
100%. I'm with you.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.